Brothers and sisters of the congregation, if I could have your attention, please. We have a very special episode here tonight. In the studio with us, as always, he is my right-hand man. He sits on my left side. He's Lefford Slope and Dusty B.
What's up, everybody?
It's going down.
How's it going?
You see it, man. You see it. It's been a day. It's been
a week.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that right now.
It has been a week. That's for sure. Also in the studio tonight, as always, he is chubby. Well, he's not chubby. He's kind of chubby.
I've gone back to being chubby.
I didn't want to.
I don't think so.
I've embraced it.
You're not.
You're still looking.
You're
good,
not
though.
chubby.
I'm trying.
Still looking good. He is chubby. He is friendly. He is chubby friendly.
Hey,
slim friendly.
no,
Yeah.
I'll take the chubby friendly.
Yeah.
Let me get back
just
on
sounds
track, and
good.
then we'll start having that conversation again.
So I was I text messaged you guys earlier, and
Was it a text?
no,
Well,
I'm
our
sorry,
group
it was a
message.
group
I was gonna
message,
say, I'm like, that shit wasn't a text.
and
There's a difference.
I said I got a guest tonight, guys. That I think my exact words were "blow your mind." Is that what I said?
Yeah, there was no food porn at all in this text.
No,
so,
absolutely not.
I was waiting for it.
Yes. I said I got a guest tonight that I think is going to blow your guys' mind. I think I may have just been invited to join a cult. I believe is exactly what I said.
That is what you said.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. So early this morning, first thing in the morning, I went to the dentist, and I had some dental work done, and my face was all numb. And
What'd you get done?
I had some cavities filled.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, because I'm horrible at personal hygiene, apparently. And
I love the
yeah.
dentist.
I love going to the dentist, too.
I hate the dentist.
I love it because they always give me the laughing gas, and I just sit back, and I don't care what they do to
That's
me.
the only way I can do it. But do you how do they deliver the gas?
They put a little thing over your nose. They have to because you can't put it over your mouth or
Right,
you work
but
on your
it
teeth.
like stops right here, right?
Yeah, it's just a thing goes over
Well,
your nose.
I don't know if it's like the mustache or what, but
It's the mustache.
You need to have them crank that bitch up and breathe through your nose like.
that's what I do, and I still nothing's happening.
Then they're probably banking on the placebo effect.
Yeah,
and they're
I
gonna,
guess
and they're
so.
ripping
You
it
guys
off,
charging me
You
for
guys
it.
get
Yeah.
the gas? I've never got the gas.
The
My
only
wife
way
has never gotten the gas
the
either.
only way I
Ever.
can handle some dude sticking knives in my mouth at like close proximity is if you've got to do something to me.
My only thing is I'm afraid of they'll take like this drill and then like your tongue's right there.
Yeah, I don't like power tools in my mouth.
Like
yeah.
right on your tongue, man.
Sorry.
Like, no way.
I think
handle
the
it.
drill's got like a safety thing where it can't.
Where it
cut
gets a
your skin.
resistance.
Maybe something like that.
Either way, there's whirring and knives, and he's telling me not to bite him, and I'm like, dude, I don't trust you.
Dude, you go
Sorry.
to the wrong dentist. I love my dentist.
I love my dentist too, for real.
Who do you go to?
Northern Kentucky Family Dentistry.
I was
think is the name
going
of
to
it.
Jeffrey
So up there across from
Peters.
Kroger.
Well, that's your problem.
Jeff something. He's right by Kroger.
Well, this
He's
is,
a part of the
he's right next door, like Papa John's
okay.
and T-Mobile
Gotcha.
over on that side.
This guy's up by Skyline, and he's in the same building as the urgent care center.
Oh, okay, yeah. You don't want to go there. You want to go across the street. I'll write you a referral, bro. I'll get you in.
If he can deliver you with a mustache, he can give you good nitros.
Oh yeah.
I'll check it out.
Oh yeah.
But like Jeff Peters did great. We eventually got to like the nasal cannula thing where you have like the two probes that go in your nose, and then I was feeling nitrous.
Right.
But every other way, man, like it never ever worked.
I love my dentist. I can't recommend him enough. Gave him a 5-star review on Facebook as I'm sitting outside my van, still numb and coming down off the nitrous. But anyway,
You were telling a story.
yeah. So I'm sitting out in my van after I just had my dental work done, and my phone goes off, and I'm like, all right, I'll check and see who it is. You know, really not in the mood for anything right now. You know, just had my mouth drilled on. I mean, granted, I couldn't feel anything, but I was still mentally out of it, so I sat in my van.
Doing a really good job of being quiet, by the way.
Thanks.
Yeah, you haven't been introduced yet, so don't say anything. But
Waiting on that, waiting for the build up.
Yeah, building it up.
So I get this message via Facebook, and I open it up, and it's my friend Sam. Now, I've known Sam since like 1991, first grade, Pioneer Elementary.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. I've known her for like a super long time. I met her in the first grade, and then I moved away, changed schools, and I didn't meet her again until 6th grade. where we had, I think it was like homeroom or science class. I know it was that. We had that together, and we got to be pretty good friends. You know, we sat across from each other. We talked a lot, and I would say we got to be pretty good friends in 6th grade. And from 6th grade on, all through high school, you know, we remained friends. Not like besties or nothing like that, but I mean, you know.
And apparently I had an art class with her, but I more remembered her boyfriend, which is. But we had a good connection. He like introduced me to a lot of the music that I listened to for years after that.
Right.
It kind of changed. Like it introduced me to Mindless Self-Indulgence and Faith No More, Mike Patton, Mr. Bungle, all those bands.
Good stuff.
Yeah, and yeah, but that was my interaction.
So,
but outside of that,
right.
I was like, I knew who she was because I knew she was Sean's girlfriend, but I didn't. I didn't remember.
Not Sean's girlfriend anymore, though.
No, of course not. That was high school.
just want to
Nobody
clarify.
keeps that.
So I got this text message from my friend Sam, who I'd like to introduce her now. She's put her on the camera. There you go. She's super nervous to be here.
I am.
And she's only here under one condition, which I'm going to get to that condition later in the show. But she basically sends me a message saying, you know, I was thinking a lot about you on Sunday, and I kind of want you to go to church with me.
I did not say that.
It kind of was that though.
Didn't it?
Yeah.
Just
I was thinking about you.
I
I
did
want
not
you to
say
go
I
to
was
church.
thinking a lot about you, but I did say.
Let me just pull it up here.
That
Say
might have
what
been
it
my
said.
message.
Yeah.
He might have got those two confused.
It says, okay, it didn't say a lot, but it said,
That was me. Sorry.
this is the exact message. Hey, I was thinking about you guys last Sunday. Now,
Guys, or-
by you guys,
Your family.
my family.
Oh, okay.
Okay. She said, I never really invite anyone to church, my church anyway. LOL. But I thought Jerry will think I'm insane, but what the heck? It's at 11 Kenton Baptist Church. Hope you consider my weird, awkward invite. Feel free to say no. I'll understand. Now we got an interruption. Hold on.
Are you guys live right now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Are you ever allowed downstairs while I'm doing this? Go upstairs. Children, please. You're interrupting the congregation here.
Somebody's having an interruption, idiot.
What'd he say?
Somebody's having an interruption period. I don't know.
What?
Somebody's having a breakdown.
Well, she
Somebody's
can.
having a breakdown.
You know what?
Whatever.
I'm over it. So,
Anyways.
anyway, yeah. Back to the story here. So, that was the message I had got, and almost immediately, I was like, you know, not really a religious person, but you know, thanks for the invite.
Mhm.
And then she comes back with, well, I'm not religious either, and I'm thinking, how can you not be religious but go to church?
See, I know this answer, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah.
read the rest of the messages.
no. I knew the answer when like as soon as it came up. There's a difference between religious and a believer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or Christian and religious. Religion is something. Never mind.
I want to go back here a bit. When you said that you were thinking about you guys, what exactly brought that on?
I don't know. I was sitting in church. This was our second service because we actually attend a church in the morning
Right.
at 9 o'clock for
9
Sunday
o'clock.
school.
You get it
Yeah.
too?
This is
Jeez.
what happens when you marry a Catholic. He makes you go to early morning church.
But
Hold
you
on, are
reformed
you
a
Catholic?
Catholic.
No, I'm not a
Yeah,
Catholic.
she's Baptist.
I married a Catholic. He's
So-
no longer a practicing Catholic.
So he
But
was
was
a
he a
Catholic, but
practicing-
now
he
he's
was,
Baptist?
yes.
And he was
He's
practice-
not Baptist now, no.
Oh.
Was he
No.
practicing Catholicism when you?
When we were dating.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And you reformed him. That's interesting.
Yeah,
I want to hear
that's
that
bad
story.
stuff,
but-
right?
Yeah.
So I was automatically kicked out of that family. But
Yeah.
anyway.
Being Catholic's fun. I'm Catholic.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
Okay. I'm
Yes,
not.
he is.
So what brought that on? You're sitting.
So
in
I'm
church.
sitting in church.
Now, were you
and
sitting in
I was
early
sitting in the
morning or
second,
the second
service.
church? Okay.
So we go to the first service for my kids because they can go to Sunday school, and the
Right.
smaller church is Kenton Baptist. Funny enough, it's called Kenton Baptist, but the pastor had never been in a Baptist church until they moved here to Kentucky
What was he
6 years
before?
ago. Christian. He's actually from California, the city that just burned down.
Wait a
He
second.
lived very close
California.
West Coast?
Like
to there. California,
California,
the
California, the
state.
state.
Okay.
Yes. So, and his wife is from Montana, whom I absolutely love. But so we go there for the second service, so the kids get that church experience where they're not going to get that at the larger church that is non-religious based. So I'm not like, oh, we got to do 2 churches in one day kind of thing. We do like the kids Sunday school service where they get to be with other kids their age and meet people in the area whose families are Christian. And then we go to a service.
Right.
Which is just where my parents go, and I'm the treasurer and accountant for this church by chance. So anyway, so I'm sitting there and I just get this idea. Hey, you should invite Jerry to go to church. And I like.
Were you in prayer or?
No.
Okay.
It was just, I don't know. We could have been singing for all I know. My mind wanders.
Yeah.
So I might look like I'm listening, but sometimes I just, So it just came across and I thought, okay, well, why? All right, I guess I could. So
this
it took
is
a few
important.
days.
Was Jerry the only person you thought of?
Yeah.
Or, so you didn't send any messages to anybody?
No, I wasn't thinking about inviting anybody
that
at all.
makes me feel a little warm and fuzzy on the inside.
And you can ask her. I don't invite people specifically to my church. Maybe, my girlfriend, I invited her to sewing, but I can't even say it was church.
You guys take care of this.
Okay.
Yeah, she's having one of those moments.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it just came to me. So it took a few days. I'm busy. Got 3 kids. And this morning I was like, oh, yeah, I should just go ahead and invite Jerry because what the heck.
Did you guys have a relationship in school or?
Jerry and?
Yeah.
No, we.
No, I mean, like you guys knew each other, but were you like friends or?
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of classes together.
Okay, so you guys like were close friends. Did you guys hang out at all? Because I didn't.
I wouldn't even say we talked on the phone ever. I can't remember a phone call. So it wasn't.
It's just curious to me that you thought of him.
I ran into him at Kroger like 2 or 3 months back, but I haven't seen him or.
Yeah.
Occasionally I see a post or 2 on Facebook when he updates his account. But I don't know. I was sitting there and it just came to me, hey, you should invite Jerry. Jerry, his family, might be interested. And I know he's never gone to church to my knowledge. I know that he's not a religious person.
Yeah, he doesn't. No. He doesn't know even a lot about it. Yeah.
No. So anyway, I held up my end of the bargain and I just sent the text. Just to see where it went, because I told him, I said, I know, it just entertained me.
Yeah. So how do you think it went?
Pretty good. I mean, I'm here, right?
Yeah.
So it's weird, but yeah, I don't know.
Did he leave his phone here? Can I?
He did leave his phone.
Yeah, but
Let me give it to you.
No.
Yeah,
I'll
wait.
wait. I don't know how long he's going to be gone. The situation upstairs.
Yeah, the situation upstairs.
So while Jerry's gone, I mean, you said your husband was a Catholic when you were dating.
I married. I married.
How long have you guys been together?
Catholic.
Like, when did you start dating?
We started dating in January of 2007.
Wow, that's a long time. Oh,
Yeah.
11 years now.
Yeah, and then we married in October of 2009, and so this is our 9th year. We just had our anniversary. He keeps up with this stuff. I don't.
Hey, congratulations all the same.
Thanks.
Yeah. So he was so were you religious or religious? I'm sorry. Were you a Christian in high school?
I was a Christian, and in high school I was Baptist. I didn't know any other way at that point, and I ended up going to a Baptist college, and that college is Belmont University in Nashville, Tennessee, and it turned me away from the Baptist faith entirely. Being right in the heart of the Bible Belt, Baptist Central,
So
Lifeway.
Baptists are like really not, I guess, strict.
It's not so much why they were strict. It was a lot of
the religion.
The religion
Yeah,
and
not
money.
They don't have only a piano. Some Baptist church, not even a piano.
Oh, right. And honestly, that was one of the first things I learned about going to a Baptist college was that there are probably 50 different types of practicing Baptist. I mean, you put 2 Baptists together and you don't know what
You
you're
get
going
a fight.
to get. They're completely different from one another.
So
So
what
it
was
is a
it
very-
specifically for you, though, about Baptists that...
One specific thing was the Baptist Association itself had decided that Belmont was allowing too many non-Baptists into a college that made Christianity or the study of the Bible mandatory.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was, are you in this for the Baptists, or are you in this to give people the opportunity to have a course in the Bible for the first time in their lives? Belmont is one of the best, if not the best, music business schools in the world.
Mm-hmm.
They have a location in Australia, New York, California, Nashville. And so they were letting a lot of people in. When I got there, because of the internet, people were attracted to Belmont. And it was around about my senior year, the Baptist Association decided to sue Belmont for the last 10 to 11 years worth of funding, which was about $11 million.
Wow.
Sorry,
Did they win
sorry,
that
ladies and
lawsuit?
gentlemen. Had to take care of some crazy
Everything
things.
okay now?
In about 15 minutes, it will be.
Ah.
Yeah.
It's
So-
been some time. I think they came to a settlement.
Yeah. I want to
Need
get
a
into
stiff
some of the
drink.
things that you believe and stuff, but
There you go.
Damn it, I think I am going to have a stiff drink.
There you go. So your husband, sorry to cut you. So your
Oh, yeah.
husband's not Catholic anymore.
So no, he's no longer practicing Catholic. We looked for a church for years together, even when we were dating.
A
we were
Catholic
trying-
church?
And no. I told him, I said, do you want me in the Catholic church? And he was like, no. So that was a definite, I wouldn't fit in at all. I question authority way too much to be
Yeah.
Catholic.
Yeah. I was.
Which is
I grew up Catholic, and my wife's Christian.
I would think
Yeah.
questioning authority would be kind of frowned upon in any religious circle or group.
not necessarily. A lot of like Baptists have deacons. They have like a structure, and like pastor has, but everything has to be like backed by scripture. It's very much like, was that the leg?
Yeah.
Tell you, man, we start talking about this, shit starts happening.
Yeah, like Congress and the Constitution. If you cite something, and it better be backed up by the Bible, or else you don't have a leg to stand on.
Yeah.
So, back to
Whereas Catholics, there's a lot more because the power structure there. I mean, you have the saints and a lot of. I mean,
The cardinal, the pope.
I was
gonna say the
cardinal,
It goes
the
down
and
pope.
the
the
line,
Pope
yeah.
is the end all be all. So if the Pope says it's okay, then pretty much means everything's okay, because the Pope is basically like the right hand of God.
Right.
So if the Pope, if the Pope is declared, then they pretty much have the direct line to the Almighty, and what they say goes.
right.
Which is dangerous already. I mean, like that should give anybody the willies.
Right.
But
Okay. Try to get back on track here. So you're sitting in church. You may have been singing. You were doing something,
Yes.
and you thought of me.
I did. Is
Now-
that not bizarre?
it's flattering.
It's kind of flattering.
My husband was a little worried. I'm not gonna lie.
You're
Well,
like,
hey,
"Jerry
you know,
Sanders."
I mean, I can't blame you for thinking about me, and I'd like to attribute my shirtless selfies I've been putting on Facebook to
Jim had us.
the new.
the new look.
Yeah.
Yeah, the new look. But it kind of made me wonder, and I didn't ask you this earlier, but I'm going to ask you it now. What kind of impact have I had on your life that would make you think of me?
This is odd, but there are certain people that I can connect with, and I don't want to say on a spiritual level, because that would be really weird and strange to understand. It may even be like a sixth, seventh sense about someone, but you've just been a very humble, peaceful, kind person. So, and it's not just who or what you are through the years. There's just a little bit more to you that I can see and feel in your presence. And I wouldn't reach out to say, hey, Jerry, you need to start going to church. I would never say or imply that.
You'd never send out one of those.
But I
y'all
told
motherfuckers
you,
need Jesus text.
right? But I told you, I said, Jerry, I really enjoy your company, and I want my heaven to include you in it.
Yeah, you did
because
say that. Yeah.
I enjoy your company, and that's, I don't know why did it come to me in the middle of church? I don't know.
You think it was a sign?
I have no idea.
Jerry definitely has a charisma and a
yeah,
magnetism.
Yeah, I've been told that before.
Which is, yeah, I mean, if it's a gift of the Holy Spirit and you worked it towards the Holy Spirit, you'd be a very blessed man.
You mean like I'd have my own jet?
No. Well, I mean,
Well,
no, that's not
stop him,
working
but
it
yeah.
towards the Holy Spirit, but
just keep talking that shit up, Tim, because it's sounding pretty good.
But think of what, someone with his character. I mean, think of what he could do.
he has a blessed communication.
Yeah.
Tell you what I could do.
Buy some land down in South America.
Thinking about buying some land down in Guyana. They speak English down there. That's the national language. You can buy it dirt cheap. It's in the middle of the jungle. Get about 900 people, maybe
far away from reporters.
maybe 910 to be exact. Follow me down there. Get some locals, work security for me. We can make something like this happen.
Get some Flavor Aid.
Yeah. Gotta be
Buy some
gotta
stock
be the
and
flavor.
Kool-Aid.
Gotta be Flavor Aid. Can't be Kool-Aid.
Gotta be the flavor aid.
Yeah.
Kool-Aid just doesn't cut the mustard down.
No.
It's cheap.
Or the cyanide.
Yeah,
It doesn't cover that flavor either.
Yeah, that doesn't cover that. But yeah, I had my own plane, Tim. Right?
Mm.
But I mean, it was flattering, I guess.
Well, I don't mean to flatter you.
That out of the blue.
I don't want to build you up.
See what you did?
Yeah,
In a big head.
she's done started it. But it was so random.
It is. That's I know.
Were you nervous right before you sent that message, or were you
I
just
wasn't nervous, but I'm like, he's probably gonna think I'm drinking or something. Well, I got nothing to lose, so I just did what I felt like I was supposed to do, so
Right.
I did.
Now, after we got through the initial back and forth, whatever, you told me a little bit more about your church. You said it's a non-religious church.
Right, the earlier church, which they have they have 2 services most of the time, and then on the holidays they have 3 services. So you don't have people don't go at 9 a.m.
But you're saying, maybe I misread it. The service that you wanted me to go to, was that a religious service or a non-religious service?
I thought I'd invite you to the one that I was sitting in when your name popped up into my head.
Right.
And then you were like, well, I'm not a real religious person. And I was like, yeah, I figured that much. So I probably should have started with the one that's a little more open. But
Right.
I think the name on the second church, with it being called Kenton Baptist, anytime you put Baptist or Catholic or Pentecostal on the side of a building,
labeling
you're
yourself.
automatically associating yourself with a bunch of people that have already been, labeled this, that, or the other thing.
Right.
So that's
My wife's a
hard.
Baptist, actually.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
But but I can't say now. There are practicing members in there that have been Baptist their whole lives, and they're nothing but Baptist. But the pastor, and his wife, I love her, absolutely love her. They're not Baptists, and that's pretty much why I found myself in that church.
I can't wrap my head around a guy who comes from California, who moves to Kentucky for what reason, I have no idea.
He's actually the second pastor that's come from California to that church.
Did I bring rattlesnakes?
That just kills me even more.
No.
Why would it kill you?
Like, why move from California, a beautiful state like that?
Because there's not a lot of Bible-believing Christians in California. Guess where there are a lot of Bible-believing Christians?
And
You got me there.
and Jerry, believe it or not, now he moved 6 years ago now, and the town that they were living outside of is the town that just burned down.
It's a sign.
Right?
He got-
so
he-
that is weird.
He got a sign.
A little weird.
Well,
That's a
at least
sign.
he's at least
He
moving.
saw the sign. He opened up his eyes.
Accordingly.
and saw the sign. Sorry.
You know.
I was trying to break out in song.
I
there.
know you did.
Okay.
Yeah, I should have joined you. I'm sorry. I was
Um,
thinking.
But I mean, how does a man, a preacher, minister, what does he go by? Is it
Both.
both?
Yeah.
How does a preacher or minister that's not Baptist suddenly start preaching in a Baptist church?
Well, first, most Baptist churches are free will, so you go in and you kind of get the interview when you do your first sermon in front of the church. And
Right.
then with this specific pastor, his name is Joe Stevens, he wanted to make sure that he could take on the role of a Baptist pastor himself. So he did his research, and he felt comfortable in knowing that underneath all of the religion, if you go on to the Baptist website with the Baptist Convention, you'll find that their number one goal is to spread the gospel, which
Right.
is the life of Christ.
Isn't that kind of like the goal of all Christians?
That's what
as
it's
a
supposed
whole?
to be, but that's not the practice of a lot of churches. Just because it's supposed to be doesn't mean that it's what they do.
I totally can relate to that because I know, and no disrespect to anybody who is Catholic, Dusty, anybody, your husband, for example, anybody who is Catholic, I know a big thing that the Catholic priests like to do is molest children, which I'm not a fan of. You know, that's a big no-no.
Right. Well,
So
what happens to any man, though?
That's one of the things that kind of turns me away from religion and religious people in general. Is you have these people who are like high-ranking, and then they do something that's so grotesque, and then they get away with it.
Think about this,
you know?
though. What happens when you put a cat in a cage? Have you ever seen a cat?
In a cage?
Yeah, in a cage.
I'm
Like a
allerg-
breeding cat that they've kept caged for specific reasons. Have you ever seen a caged cat?
Well, I'm allergic to cats, so I try to stay away from them.
It's disturbing, number one. I mean, you put anyone in a cage, they're going to
Yeah.
go ballistic.
Right.
So you're saying since priests can't have sex or get married?
I
things
mean,
like
what
that?
human
Yeah.
being? You're made to procreate.
Right.
I mean, what human being could be caged?
Yeah.
But
They end up living in these
I
churches.
never got that when I was Catholic. I was like, why?
Because
they're supposed to be married to the religion. Is
in
what they're supposed to be
Timothy,
made
in
as.
Timothy,
I know the story.
Well, I'm sorry. Well, I'm not saying that you don't.
I know,
I'm sorry.
but I'm just saying.
In Acts, the disciples were spreading the gospel, and when they were sending their disciples out, they're like, "We don't want you to have any ties to your home. Like we don't want you to get word that something's happening, and then you come running back. We want you to be solely devoted to your mission, because." Back then, one, you could get killed for being a believer, and two, I mean, like, you're basically going to people's houses and setting up churches and homes. So a lot of that doctrine comes from letters that were written by Paul to different churches across the region, and he was encouraging them not to do these things, but only because their lives were so dangerous. And that then worked itself into our modern, which Christianity is a global religion. There's no need to be that, scared for your life or anything like that. But that's how it got misappropriated.
So let me go back here to the point I was trying to make here. And based off what you said, Sam, about a caged animal, so to speak, then this kind of thing's been going on for a long time. Don't you think that somebody should recognize that if that's the case, the priests are being caged, and this problem keeps happening, that maybe they need to let them out of the cage?
Well,
to
they've
prevent
talked
this from
about
happening.
it.
They have been,
Yeah.
yeah.
We've talked about it.
And it would make sense to me that if you've got a problem and you think, I can solve that real quick.
Check out the hook. like
Check
DJ
out
or
the
something.
check out the hook while my minister resolves it. Shouldn't they go ahead and fix that problem instead of contemplating
Right,
on
but
it?
you're talking about
I'm talking about hundreds of years.
But
of
you're
this
talking about an
going on.
organization that has generations and generations, centuries of generations of people who would kill you for being gay.
Right.
And if you don't want women and all you want's men, and you're told that you could die for that belief,
Right.
So then you decide to go in willingly into a cage where you just freak out the rest. And so the people who were committing these crimes had to answer to people who empathized directly with their sins. And so they were protected.
Yeah, which is bullshit.
Right. But it didn't start to become known, not known, but a light shined on that problem within the past 30 years.
And it should have been nipped in the bud 30 years ago.
But it's an organization of people that protect pedophiles.
A secret society.
Yeah.
But
pretty
the
much.
thing is, they knew there have been for centuries though it's happened.
Right. It's always been a
It's
problem.
always yes, and
Yeah.
people knew.
But because they were all people that empathize with those people, they were able to keep it a secret.
And I'm not one of those people that can empathize with those kinds of people.
Because these are people that also gave their lives and their faith and their belief and their immortal existence to these people.
In my opinion, I don't care what you gave up. If you're doing that kind of shit in the name of God.
But that's why in the 1500s there was a Reformation. Also, probably because a lot of these people knew that these things were happening, but there were other problems as well.
But like in today's society with the whole Me Too movement and all that, you would think there would be a bigger outrage when something like that comes to light.
But there is an outrage.
Yeah, but nobody's doing shit about it.
They are.
They
motherfuckers are
can't. They
protected.
can't because it's basically within that religion, and their followers are just as angry.
Yeah,
they're no more happier. But
it all comes down to scripture. Like I said,
now hold on a second. When you say it's part of that religion, okay, I can see Jamaican motherfuckers being like, yeah, I get to smoke weed because that's part of my religion. I can see that. But priests do not have a right to do that. And they need to be punished for that.
That's not in their religion.
It's not.
I know, but it's weaved in secretly.
It has been a huge humiliation.
Yeah.
For the Catholics, and it doesn't stop there. It's not just the Pope. I mean, there's a lot of things hidden within that faith. Just
what
birth
are you looking
control,
up, Jamie?
for example.
Yeah,
I mean, clearly,
I
don't know a single Catholic woman that didn't take birth control at one point or another.
Yeah.
But they do it, and they know the Pope is wrong. They know sometimes their priests are wrong, but in that specific religion, they're taught very young not to question authority and to keep with your God, and you go to church every Sunday and you don't miss, otherwise it's a sin, and that's what they do.
Now when you say don't question authority, wouldn't questioning authority kind of fall under the free will?
There's not much free will in the Catholic faith.
No.
So that right there is just I smell something. It smells like hypocrisy.
And if you sin, you gotta go tell your priest about it. You gotta sit. Talk about awkward, especially when you're a kid and you're trying to when you're about to get baptized, and
that's when you're a Baptist, right? You get baptized.
No, you get baptized with Catholic as well.
See, I don't know this.
Yeah. When you're a baby, Catholics get baptized by the sprinkling as a baby.
Well, if you didn't want it as a baby, you do it when you get older as well. So First Communion is a big thing. So when you do your First Communion and things like that, like when you're prepping for your First Communion, the thing is when you're in Sunday school getting prepped for First Communion, you go, you're gonna go talk to the priest about for a sin that you've done. So you get used to explaining your sins and then being forgotten or forgiven.
Right.
Talk about awkward. It's the weirdest thing ever.
Now, see,
I remember it to this day, and I'm like, this is freaking weird.
I would love to do that.
But
just walk in, and I would just troll the shit out of whoever was in the other side of that booth.
I could totally see you doing
the thing is, it's you were not in a I wasn't in a booth. He sat at the end of the pew, I sat at the other end. I was just like, yeah.
Oh, so it's face to face?
Yeah,
that would be even better because then I could see what his reaction would be. So oh my God! Do they have that at your church?
No.
Damn it! I was gonna say, sign me up.
No.
I'd take up a whole hour.
Yeah, it's super awkward.
Not when you're making shit up.
But no, but you're a kid. So
welcome to the Catholic Church where the points don't matter.
Yeah. So when you're a kid and you're going through First Communion, and that was one of the things that you got to do for your pre-First Communion. It's this is freaking weird. I don't know what's sin or I don't know what's bad. I'm in second and third grade. I don't know what's bad. I don't know what a sin is.
I farted in gym class.
Yeah, it's like, I don't freaking know. It's like, what is this?
And
Like,
they put you on the
dumb stuff
spot.
like that.
Right?
Yeah, they
at
do.
8.
Yeah.
At 8, you're like, do you believe in God or not?
yeah. So you're just kind of like,
Well, I got to come every week with my
yeah.
parents.
I'm like,
so-
I could literally barely spell my name in cursive. So what do you think? You know what I mean? It's
Exactly.
I don't know. It was kind of dumb.
Or you're not
Yeah.
eating tonight. Like, what's it going to be?
yeah. Yeah.
So, back to your church and the service that you had invited me to. What about the service that you invited me to made you think that I either needed it, wanted it, or would like it?
I didn't think that at all.
Then
No, I didn't want to ask you. No,
why didn't you want to ask me?
I don't like asking anybody to come to church.
but you
'Cause
did.
It's awkward.
But you did.
I did, because it came to me, and why would it come to me in the middle of church? So
I don't know.
exactly.
That-
So I was like, well, I'll ask him, but I'm pretty sure the answer is going to be no.
What have
So-
you you done if you said
But-
yeah?
But see, look. We'll get to that. But
Yeah.
if he had said yeah, I'd been like, okay, I'll see you Sunday.
I'll probably need directions if I ever show up.
You should go just to see what it's like, man.
Well, I actually, once we got through a little bit more of our conversation, I told her, I said, hey, I tell you what, you come on my podcast tonight, we'll talk about this some more, and I'll show up. And she was like, okay.
So
It was the easiest answer I've ever gotten from anybody in my life. It was either, hey, if you do this, then I'll do this. There was no back and forth. There was no arguing. It was just, okay, I'll do it. And that's the kind of person that Sam is. Sam has always been a very kind, very polite, very sweet person. I can say as long as I've known her, she is this is how she has been. I will admit, though, in the first grade, I kind of thought she was a bitch. But I was
You
6.
didn't know me.
Yeah, I didn't know her.
that's
See?
real, though.
Yeah.
And people think that on Facebook too, right? Because they don't see all of me. They don't hear the tone in my voice, right?
Right.
So when I throw something out there, they're like, "What the?"
Like-
who does
Yeah.
she think she is?
If I could pick somebody to read me a bedtime story at night, don't flatter yourself, sweetheart. It would be Morgan Freeman, number 1, and then Samantha Cooper.
Oh, thanks,
Yeah.
Jerry.
No,
Yeah.
you
What about Mufasa?
Mufasa.
Ooh. Do it again. What's his name though? God. Darth Vader.
James Earl Jones,
Now do Darth Vader. Darth Vader.
Black Hawk helicopters.
PresidentPlanet.tv, Infowars.com.
What's his name?
James Earl Jones.
James Earl Jones. Yeah, he would be on my list.
He did.
Would he be on your
He
list?
did.
He did
The
the
guy
Bible.
did Darth Vader.
It's James Earl
did
Jones.
Scar.
No, he
Oh.
did Mufasa.
That's what I mean. He did
Yeah.
Mufasa.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And also, this is CNN.
Ah,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
You're all learning something.
Wow.
So the conversation went, hey, if you come on the podcast and talk about this tonight, then I'll show up at your church. I'll do the service. Whichever one you think I would enjoy the most. I'm hoping that it's the 11 o'clock because the 9 o'clock on
Yeah.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Do you really want the 11 o'clock?
Yeah.
Because either way, I just didn't want to scare you with because you said the non-religious one, and I'm like, well, they both. I mean,
Well, I didn't know there was 2. I thought it was all one. That's
Right.
why when you were like, I'd like for you to come to the non-religious service, and I was like, aren't all churches kind of religious? And you were like, no, not really. And I was
Religion
like,
is-
I'm thinking this is a cult
Religion
right
is,
off the bat.
religion is something you practice.
Right.
Belief and faith is something you have. Does that make sense?
Kind of, yeah.
So,
It's,
like
it's something you live.
Jews that don't eat pork, that's part of their religion.
Right.
But being a Jew and believing in God is faith.
Right.
Right.
There's all these different levels.
Well, no. Anything that you practice because of your faith is religion.
Right.
And that's where people get like caught up. So the Reformation, you have Protestants, Catholics, you have which Protestants includes Lutheran, Pentecostal, Baptist, Methodists.
See, there's all these different branches. It's
Right.
It's like worse
Big-
than the military.
That's
with all
all
the different
religion.
branches.
That's
Right.
all religion.
Yeah,
Those
it
are
is.
things that you practice.
Right.
But the belief in one God and Jesus Christ being the Son of God and the Holy Spirit being on earth and Jesus being alive in heaven, that's Christian.
Right.
So
They're just different
That's
branches
just-
of Christianity.
there's different religious sects.
Wait.
SECTS.
I'm glad you specified there because I was getting ready to say we
Of
already talked about
Christianity.
this.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm not cool with that kind of shit.
Religious sects is another thing. But, yeah.
I mean, I've screamed "Oh God" before, but that
Right.
isn't. Yeah.
That's religious sects.
Oh God! Oh God!
Now, here's something that you guys might find. I don't want to say disturbing, surprising maybe.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a child, I'm talking like a young child, probably maybe 4-ish.
Mm-hmm.
I went with my parents, and I guess it was like evangelical church or something. The guy was like running around on the stage and
It
screaming.
could also be Pentecostal.
Pentecostal.
Could be.
Probably, yeah.
I don't think it was Pentecostal. This was when I
But
still lived in Florida.
evangelical tends to be it's like a derivative of Pentecostal.
This was like the opening to a ministry song
right.
kind of shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Praise Jesus, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
That's
Could have been in the South, though, too.
I was in Florida.
Okay, it's
So-
totally different. The farther south you go, the crazier it gets.
Right.
I believe that. But when I was a kid, I went with my parents. I guess I don't know if my dad knew the guy or who knew this guy or why we were there. I don't know. But I can remember being a very young child and watching that. And while I had no sense of religion, you know, I had no sense of who anybody was, who Jesus Christ was, or who God was for that matter. I was captivated by this guy and his energy on the stage. I was captivated by it.
Yeah.
And I remember when we left, I had this cassette tape of that guy. And I used to play the shit out of that tape. And I would listen to it. And I had no clue what he was saying. I could feel his presence, feel his energy coming from that. And after like a week, I think I destroyed the tape because I was 4 or 5 years old. I didn't know what the hell I was doing anyway. But I always wanted to copy that tape back just to hear what it was because I can remember listening to it, you know, hundreds of times, but I couldn't remember it. So after that, I tried going to church with my sisters, and they were all baptized. I guess I don't know, Baptists or whatever it was. But I was actually at their baptism. I saw them be baptized in somebody's pool in the back of somebody's house. I don't know.
Awesome.
And I tried to go to church. They put me in like the youth group with like the other kids, and I hated it. I was like, Mom, this is so boring. I want to sit in the big church. Did you guys see the lights dim?
yeah.
Did you see that? See?
Yeah.
Told you. I warned you before the show. We started talking about this. Weird things happen.
Technical difficulty.
Yeah. So I told my mom, I said, look, I'll come to church with you guys, but I'm not going with all them other little kids. I want to sit in the big church, and I want to hear that guy talk. And I used to sit in church, still having no concept of what anything was or what it was about, and just listen to this guy. I couldn't tell you what he was saying. I wasn't paying attention. I was just feeling it, you know. And ever since I was a little kid, I've always been obsessed with, like, hearing preachers talk. Like, I don't care what they're talking about. You know, like, now I know what they're talking about. I just don't give a shit. But I'd love to hear that. And go ahead.
So there's a So what you're talking about is charisma. So
Yes.
there's a lot of charismatic people. You have politicians can be very charismatic.
Which is why I voted for Trump, because I love to hear that motherfucker talk.
You can't talk for shit.
Yeah.
You can't read off anything.
Yeah,
You'd be like,
that's true. But
but
when he gets on a rant and he's got that energy in him, you just feel it.
So you remember Joe when we had Joe on the podcast? Go with Joe.
Yeah, go with Joe. Yeah.
Very charismatic guy.
Yeah, I like Joe.
Yeah, but you identify.
I voted for him too. For
Right.
the record. Yeah.
You identify with him because he reaches you on a level that you, I want to say it's almost biologically understand.
you just agree with.
You
I don't know about
agree,
that.
but he reaches you on a level that you.
Because he's personable.
Yeah, but he's personable to you. He's not personable to everybody. There's people that probably Joe doesn't get along with.
Yeah.
This is what I'm going to say. So you identified with that really charismatic preacher, and he reached you on a level that there was something about him that was magnetic to you.
Right.
It's hard to explain. There are people that are Christian that
Can I stop you real quick, Dr. Phil?
yeah.
Can I stop you?
Yeah.
I think you hit it right on the head when you said I'm drawn towards the charisma.
Right.
Yeah. That's what does it.
But there are people that are Christian that like you meet and then you're like, this is a genuine dude. I may not agree with the things that he believes in, but I believe that this guy operates under his beliefs and that there's something about him that is just pure and right or whatever. Those people are the people that actually probably are Christian. If Christianity is real, the true souls you can identify. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but you've also got to understand, I just like people who can give really awesome speeches.
Right.
So you like Hitler?
For instance, I was going to say, I can listen to a Hitler speech and feel that energy, feel that passion.
We can't understand what he's saying.
I can't understand a word the motherfucker's saying. I know it's some bad shit.
Right.
But it just, you feel that energy, and that's what draws me in. That's what draws me in. And the only reason I can't say it's the only reason, but one of the reasons I don't go to church now, to hear that power, to hear that passion, is all the hypocrisies and stuff.
But
that I see all the time.
The passion isn't something that you should be identifying with. It's the message.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So for that reason, I shouldn't go to church just to listen to the guy talk, because I'm not identifying with the message.
Right. You should come with a not skepticism, but I'm losing the word.
Hold on. Sam, help him out here.
Yeah.
Explain why I should go to church.
I would say go to church.
I hate to put you on the spot here, but
for you personally, where you are in your walk or not unwalk, I would say go to church.
In my walk
or unwalk. If you're in the faith or if you're not in the faith, you're not walking in the faith right now.
Okay,
so
I got you.
As someone,
are you talking to me? Sorry.
I don't know what you're doing over there.
Pantera,
man.
Okay, got you. Now I get it.
Come on now.
I was missing that. I'm drinking over
Sorry,
here.
I'm sorry to cut you off.
I had to say it.
I'm 3 beers deep.
I appreciate it, Dusty. That was good.
That was good.
Thank you.
Sorry, I would say go where you are going to learn.
Right.
I'm not going to say go where you get something out of it, to where you just feel good inside when you leave. I would definitely not suggest that, because you get a lot of crazy sermons that are not biblical or Christ oriented from people who can be charismatic and fun and empowering,
like
and
Joel
enticing.
Osteen. I was thinking Jim Jones.
Fuck that dude.
Yeah,
Joel
Osteen, perfect example.
Yeah, I can't listen to him.
He just feeds you lies. I mean, he feeds
all he
his
cares about is
wallet
money.
He feeds
and
his
he preaches
viewers
you that
with
if you give him
money,
money, then you'll get money, which
Yes.
is
Well, and his
ridiculous.
wife was telling people like, "Oh yeah, you got cancer. Don't put your money towards that. Give your money to me. Then I'll cure
and that'll
you."
be your cure.
Bitch.
Right. So I for me personally, I go where I'm learning,
Right.
where I feel my kids are going to benefit the most. So that's
Right.
kind of where the two churches play in for us personally, because I mean, clearly I don't want to go to two churches on Sunday, but that's just how it's played out for us.
That 9 o'clock just you want to hit that snooze button,
I'm usually
don't
late.
you?
We are late. I am the one that walks in 20 minutes late after they are done, raising the roof with their concerts. It's good. It's gotten really good over the years. They've got a guy in there playing the piano now. His name's Aaron. Amazing talent. And he'll actually sing worship songs that aren't the same line over and over again.
Right.
I can't stand that stuff.
Like your Hill song.
Oh, it's... I just... and that was kind of, we went through this stage where Christians thought, you know, if we're going to be this new age church, we're going to have a projector on the board and we're all going to sing these really loud, enticing songs.
These are
so that
like
you're
Seven
gonna-
Hills and things like that.
yeah, Seven Hills or any kind of church, like you're going to feel it when you walk through the door. Well, that's fine. I don't mind feeling it, but don't give me a headache. You know, if you're going to sing something, it had better be good, because I feel like God deserves something good to listen to at 9 a.m. in the morning.
Pantera.
And if I'm annoyed,
I'd rock that.
Yeah,
Or some ministry for that matter.
yeah, I mean, if I'm annoyed, I mean, God's probably a little annoyed, right?
Right.
So, or maybe it's just maybe he likes annoying music. I don't know. But for me, you know, it's
I'm sure
where
he
are the
hears it
people
all over and
real?
over again.
Right.
God, not this
No.
again.
It's and part of being a Christian, and some pastors are a little more passionate about this than others, is going to service to worship, not just learn.
Right.
You'll get to a point in your life where sermons sometimes are like, oh yeah, I remember that one, because they don't always hit on a new one every week of your life.
Right.
Coming from Catholic, that's the weirdest thing ever.
What
Coming
is
from Catholic to like a Baptist church where everybody's all singing and there's a
Yeah.
lot of singing. And you're like, so where's the chant where everybody says the chant? Yeah, you know, like you know what chant I'm talking about, where they talk about like I don't know, it's right before they give the body of Christ and
Yes. Yeah.
So you gotta like repeat what he says, and you're like, "Where's all this type of stuff?" And then you're like, "This is weird."
there's no
Everybody's singing.
structure.
Yeah,
right?
there's no structure.
This isn't.
I'm so used. Catholic church is like the same. It was like the beginning was the same, and the end was the same, and the middle was usually different. It was either the priest would say something, would talk about something that either happened to him or something that happened to somebody he knew or something like that. And that was the weirdest thing. There was a structure there, and then you get to like I said, Baptist
so
or
like,
Christian. There's no structure.
You walk into a Catholic church, it's the same. Every Catholic church you
Yes,
walk into,
it's
you're
the
not
exact
worried
same.
about what you're walking
Yeah.
into.
You
You're
can
Catholic,
go to
we're all Catholic,
Yep.
that kind of thing.
Yep.
Right.
But if you walk into a Baptist church, you could walk into 50 different Baptist churches,
Yeah.
and you don't know.
Mhm. Like you can go to I can go to like say I used to go to the cathedral with my parents like on Saturday evenings, because I had Saturday evening service, and then next day I only did this once. The next day I turned around and went to church with my grandma and grandpa, and it was literally verbatim same exact thing. I'm like, I just did this last night.
Right.
What is going on? You
Whatever
know?
was approved by the Pope
Yeah.
for that specific week.
Yeah.
And I got to seeing, I guess I should say, that the Baptists kind of were doing that too. There's a company in Nashville called Lifeway, and they sell most of the material for Baptist Sunday schools. And before the recession, this was like a way of life.
It got to
for
be like a
Baptists.
school
Right.
curriculum,
And
yeah.
that curriculum was chosen by Lifeway.
Mhm.
And they didn't choose the stories that were a little political or questionable or might raise some eyebrows. They would specifically choose the stories that were safe. And that got on my nerves too, which was another reason why I left Baptist practice, if you will.
Is that like Billy? I can't remember his name.
Billy Graham
Billy Graham.
used to associate.
Is that Lifeway?
Yeah. But now, well, I don't know if he, I don't know.
Well, he doesn't
Lifeway.
identify with any of them anymore.
Well, Billy, right. But,
yeah.
but
He's
now
Wormfield.
Franklin,
Yeah.
if you look up, Franklin
Come on now,
isn't really
Billy Graham's in
associated-
heaven, man.
His body's worm food. He's in heaven.
But if you follow Franklin at all, which I don't
The turtle?
follow,
Right.
but he,
That's what I was thinking.
he does not associate so much with the Baptists anymore.
So let me ask you this. I mean, you know me. You know who I am. I wouldn't say you know me on like a personal level, like on a day-to-day basis. But I mean,
I
we
thought
know
he was going
we know
to
each
say
other.
on a biblical sense for a second. I was like, Jared, where are you
Well,
going with this?
You don't know me there either. But when you said I need to find a church that I could learn from, what kind of things do you think I need to learn?
What do I think you need to learn?
Yeah.
I don't.
Now let me just say this. I've never been a practicing any religion. I only went to church when I was little because I like to hear the guy talk. I have no interest in any form of religion whatsoever. I think a lot of it is a sham. I believe there are some people out there who truly believe and want to do good. But for the most part, I think about 90% of churches and religious people in general are very, very hypocritical. And I just, it's a big money making scam. I mean, look at people like Creflo Dollar and Joel Osteen and people like that. It puts a really bad taste in my mouth. Not a Catholic reference there. Yeah. It just
that was good though.
It really just
That's terrible, man.
It's very just
Not
off.
intended
It's very
Catholic.
just yeah. It's just very off-putting to me, the whole, and I think I even told you earlier, like I don't need Jesus or God to be a good person.
Right.
I think
no one does.
I think I've done pretty good for myself, considering that I've never opened my heart to Jesus, so to speak. So with that being said, what do you think I could learn going to a church?
Well, if you wanted to learn, if you had any interest whatsoever, I would start with a pastor that has been.
It's not so much a thing
I
want to learn. It's what do I need to learn?
Everything.
But why?
Because if that, you just have to figure that out for yourself. I don't know why.
Dude,
I don't even know if
I have an
you
answer for
need
this.
Go ahead.
So if we were a monarchy and you lived under a king,
right?
Technically, right now, if there was a draft,
right, and
your number got called to a draft, you would fight to serve in the army, or you would go to jail, right? And you have no say in the matter. You exist in a country that has this law,
right?
Regardless of whether or not you agree to it, you have to do one of two things: either fight or die, or go to jail. I'm sorry.
Right.
Basically, whether you believe it or not, you are part of. You exist, and you have a consciousness,
right?
And the Ten Commandments, and you have a soul. The Ten Commandments are written on your heart. You know that lying is, sin. You shouldn't lie. You shouldn't steal. You shouldn't kill.
For the record, and for the record, I know the important ones.
Right. Well, we
now.
could get into that, but regardless, you know that those things are wrong, and you know that they're wrong because God put that in you. And that is your identifier that you exist in a grander scheme or a grander scenario. I'm drunk, so I'm not.
This is all one big hypothetical.
Right, hypothetical, yeah. And if you die today, and you don't. Do you see where I'm going? Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm having trouble.
You want to help him out here. I had you save him earlier and you went on a rant.
Yeah. If you can save me, save me. But
she can save you, brother.
We have
she has the ability to save you.
You're trying to say I see where you're going with it, but I don't think he is going to acknowledge that he has a choice to make at this point.
Right.
So it's not going to
But it's not if there is a God and you die, you're going to hell.
Right.
Because you haven't you don't
have a relationship with God.
Yeah.
Right.
If there was a draft and you're basically saying I'm not going to fight in the war. So then you're going to go to jail.
Right.
Right now there is a God, and he's saying, I'm calling you, and if you refuse me, you're going to hell.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, but didn't Jesus die for everyone's sins so everybody could go to heaven? Everybody.
No, not they chose.
If they chose him. They chose him.
If they chose him, yeah.
That's kind of being a little rude. If you ask me.
Jesus shaved.
If you were caught speeding and you're in court and someone came in and said, I'll pay your fine
so
that you can walk free.
But you have to do this one thing for me.
I'm paying your fine. If you accept that I'm paying your fine, then you walk free.
Okay.
Well, if God paid, or Jesus and God paid your fine, you can walk free.
Okay. But let's say I do go to heaven and I'm standing at the pearly gates and St. Peter. Is that right?
Well, that's Catholic.
Oh,
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
either way.
Right.
Okay. I go there and he's like, "Hey, what's up? You never went to church except for when you were little. You never did anything for it." And I was
Right.
just like, "Well, hey, you know what? Right now, I'm gonna-
Well, no,
I'm gonna accept it.
You die,
You don't
and
have
then
to.
there's the judgment.
right."
You die, then there's judgment. So
But-
basically,
but-
you're on court right now.
But judgment on the fact that I didn't devote my life.
You didn't acknowledge
you
that
don't
your
have to
pride,
devote-
that your sin.
That's not how it works, though.
Yeah.
The man on the right-hand side of Christ never lived a day of his life in church or living for Christ
You just have
whatsoever.
to
He just had
Believe.
faith.
Yeah, you just gotta have faith.
He believed in God, and he knew
But let's say
he was who he said he was.
let's
Maybe
just-
Jerry
let's say-
has faith and believes in God. We just don't know it. He just don't go to church.
Oh no, that is
Well, and that's John Calvin. So
Yeah.
John Calvin said that because God is omnipotent, your name is already written in the book
Yeah.
already.
Right.
So
That's
whether
fine.
So
I
even
have
if you
faith. I
wanted to
believe in
say
God. I
no,
don't go
God
to
wouldn't
church.
let up on you.
Yeah.
But how about think about this? All you have to do is believe, right?
It's
Uh,
not.
Well,
I have
Satan
a-
believes, so
for-
it's,
for
it's
your-
your heart that
If-
that God knows.
if you
But for
understood
for
that-
your entire existence, you have to believe. Does that existence, like once you get into heaven, can you stop believing at that point?
Well, clearly you would believe because you're there.
That's my point. Once I die and I go to the big pearly gates or whatever,
No, it's
couldn't I
don't
be
count.
like, hey,
No.
hey,
No.
I believe
Because,
now because I'm
Jerry,
seeing it
you
with my
gotta
own
think,
eyes.
Satan himself, let's say, if there is a Satan knows there is a God.
Right.
So he spends his entire time getting people on his side of the war, if you will,
Okay.
without confusing you too much.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. It's okay.
Everyone is his until they are enlightened or chosen by God or born into the family of Christianhood, however you want to say it.
Right.
It doesn't matter if you know there is a God or if you believe there is a God. It's where your heart is in living for him.
Right.
if you understood that the
Uh,
cost of
I'm-
your sin,
I'm picking up what you're putting down here.
if you understood that the cost of your sin was already paid,
Right.
and that paid was in crucifixion, that he felt every sin when he was being crucified,
Right.
and that was the cost. That was everything that you've done, every lie that you told, everything that you've done was already paid for.
Right.
And if you understood that, then you wouldn't negligently live your life according, and live in sin. Because you would understand that price was paid, and you're accepting that.
But right there, you kind of make me think of something. Knowing that every sin that I ever was going to commit had already been paid for.
Why would you add weight to that?
But if it's already, everything's already done and taken care of, then why wouldn't people live in sin all the time?
Because that wouldn't be their heart. Their heart wouldn't have been in it in the first place.
If the
But-
guy
but
that
That's
paid
the
your speeding
forgiveness.
So
ticket
what if they can
paid
be-
for it, you wouldn't go out and immediately speed again and just expect that guy to show up and pay for your fine again.
But it's already, if the guy had showed up in court and been like, "Hey, I'm going to pay for this fine," and every
And
single
he's never
fine,
going to speed
that-
again.
Unfortunately for the Christians, when they do something and they know it's wrong, God makes them pay for it one way or another.
right?
So you're not technically off free.
But isn't
so
it
to
already
say.
paid for?
It's
though?
paid for.
What do you
but
mean when you say
that? When you do something and you know specifically God told you not to do it. So you're a Christian at this point, okay? And you go and you do something you specifically were told not to do. He gave you the warnings. He told you not to do. You did it anyway. You are forgiven. But that doesn't mean that he's not going to make you pay in another way and make life a little bit harder than it could have been if you chosen to walk the path he told you to take in the first place. So if you choose, we can choose things
Right.
for ourselves. That's the dominion that God has given all of us. We have
Right.
a choice to do whatever we want. So I can choose to smoke and do what I want, but
You smoke?
I have, but I haven't, you know.
I was going to say, I didn't know that.
But if I smoke, I can take years off my life. It's my choice.
Right.
Okay, life's not going to be as easy for me.
But are you going to go to hell because you smoke?
No, because I'm
That's not what she's
forgiven.
getting at.
I'm forgiven,
Right.
but God told me not to do it in the first place, and I
Right.
will pay for my sins
Wait a second.
one way
But-
or another.
Hold on a second. But every lie that you tell is not it's not like karma.
No, it's not like karma.
Well,
See,
so,
I believe more in
But-
karma.
But that's
Look
what
at
I think
Jonah.
you were just talking about.
Look at Jonah. God told Jonah, go to Nineveh, tell these people, if you don't change your ways,
Right.
they're basically, you're all going to die. There's going to be a big price to pay, right?
Right.
So Jonah's like, no, I don't want to tell these people this. I'm going to go someplace else. So he goes the opposite direction. And what happens?
He gets swallowed by a whale.
Big storm comes. They're like, what's going on? He's like, it's my fault. I was supposed to go to Nineveh. Just throw me over. So they throw him over. The storm stops. Fish comes, swallows Jonah. 3 days he's in there, and he finally agrees. All right, well, I guess I should have gone. I guess I will live. You give me the chance. Whale, fish, spits him out, and he goes in there, still not very happy about it, and tells the people that they have to change their ways. So the guy still doesn't believe that they're going to change, and he doesn't really have any faith or hope in them anyway. Goes back, sits on a hill, and waits for them to basically explode or die or burn, and nothing happens.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually did turn away from their sin,
Right.
and they actually did believe because God told him to do it in the first place, and he listened. But he didn't listen the first time, and he did have to pay for it.
But
No.
But hold on a second. There's an ending to this story where Jonah sits on a hill and a vine grows over his head, and to shield him from the shade or from the sun, and then he like curses the vine. I mean, do you know the ending of this story? Okay, because I have more
No.
questions about.
Go
that,
ahead.
but I don't
I mean,
know.
if you
I don't.
know
I
it word
don't
for
know
word.
because
I'm
I
not
don't.
one that memorizes
Yeah,
word
I
for
mean
word.
it's. But I just think that. I don't know.
Let me say this here.
I hear what you're saying.
Let me just say this here. Based on the fact that I've chosen to live my life the way that I live my life, I would say it's a pretty clear path. I've done good. You know, I'm not, in jail for murder or, anything super crazy or nothing that would land somebody in jail. I've lived a pretty good life. I mean, I'm a good person. I'm a nice guy. Based on the fact that I still haven't said, okay, yeah, Jesus is the reason that I'm being good. Just the fact that I'm being good, I still can't get into heaven when I die.
Why would you be allowed into someone's house that doesn't know you?
But
Just because you died.
he watches everything, right?
He does.
So he would know that I'm a good person. He would say, hey, even though this guy ain't following my train here, he's a good dude. I want him.
But
Like
you
like
denied
a
him.
sports team.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You denied him, so he will deny you. Once you deny him, he denies you access into his family.
Sit up on the mic for me. if you
He
don't mind.
once you deny
I see what you're saying.
God, he will deny you.
I understand that. But has there ever been a person that you would consider say, hey, I know that he doesn't believe in God, but he is too good of a person not to be in heaven?
Right. No, I think that of a lot of people, and it's heartbreaking.
Now, earlier in our text message, you said that you want me to be in your heaven with you.
Yeah.
Right? When you get to heaven, and you see me come climbing up the stairs, I expect to see you run into that gate being like, hey, I know that guy.
He's a good dude. I'm going to vouch for him.
That's if I make it,
I
Jerry.
will vouch for him. Now, why wouldn't you make it?
Well, I don't know, but
No.
I would.
No.
I expect to make it, but that's
Now hold
an
on.
assumption that
Now, based on what you guys have told me before, that as long as you accept Jesus, then you're allowed into heaven. So now you're saying that you might not make it, even though you believe.
Yeah, I've got a whole life to live. Now, God's going to use me as long as He wants to use me.
Right.
And, at this point,
But you,
I've devoted my life to Christ. I was practically born into this whole church scene, if you will. But that's not to say I'm not human. We're all human, and people fall short. There's not a man or woman alive that hasn't fallen short of the glory of God. So, in my mind, I'll always be there. That's my end goal, and
right.
I look forward to that.
Right.
But hypothetically, right? Because we're all human. I would say.
So you're saying at a certain point later in your life, you could be like,
Right.
what? This is all a joke. I'm done with it.
I may have a scenario happen to me that I can't handle. I can't process.
Right.
So, to each his own. So, there's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts about it, but you got to stay the course.
So what about if I'm on my deathbed? I'm laying in the hospital.
Yeah.
And I'm laying there, and I'm minutes away from death. And I say to myself, you know what? I need to get myself right with God. And in those last 5 minutes, I open up my heart, and I let Jesus come in. And I feel His almighty power. In those last 5 minutes of my life, regardless of what I've done up until that point, I could get into heaven.
Yes.
That's between you and God, yes. Absolutely.
Here's the way
Do
I
you
look
see why a person like me would find that just a little bit like
Here's the way I look at it.
a little
right?
out there, man?
The definition of holy,
Right.
like as given by Merriam-Webster, is something that's consecrated by God, or it just means that something is like special. But what I think of holy, I think it's a whole nother
level. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bringing it back.
It's something that God has given a name to. That means it's like it's a whole nother level of a existence that we don't even understand.
1 second here. It's a new level of power and confidence. It's a Pantera reference, man.
Oh yeah, sorry. Sleeping over here.
I was looking at you so serious. I was like, I don't know if he's gonna get this because I'm not really singing it.
It's a.
I'm sorry.
For me, it's a reference to
Warren.
another. It's another level. It's another plane of existence.
Right.
It's like it's a key for us to understand that God is something that we could never, with our human minds, understand.
Right.
And what we have within ourselves are ways to understand it. We know that we have a conscience. We know that certain things are right and certain things are wrong.
Right.
We all agree on these things. And the fact that we all agree on these things should give us an indication that there's something beyond us that gave us this understanding.
Right.
Okay. So the reason why you say if you're on your deathbed and you have that come to Jesus moment,
Right.
it'd have to be an actual, a real,
Right, yeah.
logistically, an
legitimately.
understanding that God.
No, hold on. It doesn't have to be an understanding.
Yes, it has
or
to be
an acceptance.
an acceptance and understanding.
Because in 5 minutes, I'm not really going to understand much.
No, you could.
I
You
mean,
really could.
It would have to be something incredible.
But those you're talking about life and death.
Right.
You're transitioning, and a lot of things could happen in that moment. But if you understand that you are God's child, and that there is a life after this death.
Right.
Something that you can't understand, but you know that you were put here for a purpose. Then you would be accepted as God's child, and you would be led into God's house, as Sam puts it. And then you would be ready to take on, the next level of your existence.
Quick question,
which is what I think we're all here for. And this is why I say we put ourselves in these positions of government. We in the days of Saul, and then the first king that Jesus was born into his life, David. They were kings, right?
I'm glad you clarified that, because when you said Saul, I was like, oh, I love those movies.
Saul was the king before David.
Okay.
But that's neither here nor there.
I think it's Saul Goodman, but okay.
Saul Goodman.
Is he Asian?
Is he Asian?
Yeah.
We want this structure because God wants us to worship him, but he's not here, or especially in that time, he wasn't here with us.
Right.
And he said, I want you to answer to my doctrine and live in accordance to my will. And they said, well, that's all well and good, but you're not here with us. We need someone here that can, that can give us right and wrong and declare these things for us. So then he said, fine, I'll anoint one for you. And they said, well, we want Saul. And then he was like, well, I chose David. And they were like, well, we want Saul. And then David turned out to be the king. Anyway, the structure that we desire, where we have someone in command, it is intrinsically in with us. And if you understand that person is not actually here on earth, he is there in heaven, and you will answer to him after you die, and accept that you are always his, and that he paid the price for your sins, and that because he paid the price for your sins, you deserve to give him your not obedience, but obedience.
Not obedience, but obedience.
Obedience the way you understand it. Obedience and subordinance.
Can you sin in heaven and get away with it?
We don't.
No, hold on. Your mic cut out. Hold on.
Everything cut out.
Yeah, yours did. I can still hear all of them. Oh, is it going to pop?
Nope. Say that again.
Where were?
I said, can you sin in heaven and get away?
You won't be you won't. Is this on?
Yeah, I can
You
hear
won't be the same.
You can't hear your headphones or nothing?
No, my headphones out.
You might have unplugged them.
I didn't. It's right here.
Oh, they're just crappy headphones.
Yeah, they're crappy headphones. You won't be the same.
You won't be the same. You won't think the same. You won't feel the same.
You would be holy.
You would,
which is something other than our level of understanding, but we have a word for it and we call it holy.
You see, I don't know how much of the story you understand, or have heard. But say like the Garden of Eden scenario, okay?
Right.
When the serpent came in and talked.
Now, the serpent
talked Eve into the apple.
Satan.
Yeah.
Right. See, let's just go with it. So, at that point, sin entered our world, right? In heaven, there is no Satan.
Right.
He's a fallen angel. He's not there anymore.
Right.
You won't think the same. There won't be any more pain or work or sweat or a lot of things. Even your husband and wife scenario. There are no husband and wife. There's no need for that in heaven. It's different.
So wait a second. So you're saying in heaven, you can just. Is there sex in heaven?
At the bare minimum.
I knew he was going to go there.
Exactly, right?
At the bare minimum.
You got my wheels turning here. Like really?
Exactly.
See, and this is Mormons. Mormons believe that.
Mormons are brave, by the way. They fucking are, man. I'm telling you.
I was going to say, are they fast? Oh, wait a minute. It's marsupials.
Yeah. That should be the name of the episode.
Mormons are fucking brave. For real.
I don't even know what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't know what he's going with either.
I don't know, but I love it. But Mormons believe that when you're married on earth and you're married in heaven, and then the whole thing is bizarre. But what Sam's saying is true. When if you die and you are a Christian, then you transcend into. Remember in the book of Genesis, it says that Adam and Eve.
Let's go back here.
Adam and Eve didn't even know their nakedness. There was no pain in childbirth. There's no death. There's, they communed with God. Everything, they just
existed to exist.
But you couldn't.
Who wants to exist just to exist? Living life is about having fun and good times. Why would you want to go somewhere where you can't even have a good time?
But those are the flesh.
Is a good time.
But
that's just your earthly mind thinking the good times in your mind right now.
It would have to be pretty fucking awesome.
Right?
That's all I'm saying, man.
I mean, it's hard. We can't imagine it. I mean, we only have the ability to see certain colors here on Earth, for Christ's sake. Like, you get to see the rainbow. That's it. That's the only
Think
colors
about this
you
for a
see.
second. Think about this for a second. Hold on.
Okay.
Let me finish here. Let me finish. If here on Earth we know how to have a good time, and then all of a sudden we go to the next place, and you can't have a good time anymore. So, but
no, it's a good time.
Hold on. Wait.
Yeah.
But how can I say this here? It's a good time, but it's a good time because we've been washed away of who makes us and having a good time.
Now think of to every good time here on Earth.
Right.
There's an end.
Right.
It's only good for so long, right?
Right.
Like that. But if the bottle of whiskey there is only good for so long, and then after a while, you're like, well, I guess it's over, right?
No, and then I guess I gotta go to the store. There's another bottle out there that I want to get to the bottom of right now.
And then if you get to 2 bottles, your second or third bottle, what happens?
But thinking of heaven as pleasure,
you wake up and you go get another one.
But thinking of heaven as pleasure is wrong. Because
pleasure is just wrong in general. Once you
no, that's not what. See, this is where we got before.
With him, or with
yes, with him. Because
the questions are just gonna. The more you talk, the more the questions are gonna.
Right, exactly.
I've noticed.
Just think of it now. Like, think of how great is here now.
Right.
With a limit.
But when you get to heaven, though, everything's great, right?
With no limit.
But here's the thing.
But it's not the same thing. Like
you have a purpose.
Do they have whiskey bottles?
I'm sure it's the best. I mean, Jesus turned water into wine. That's the first miracle.
Yeah, but wine gives me a headache, though.
Exactly. But this was the good stuff, and they brought it out last, right? And then they're like yelling, "Who brought the good stuff out last?" Like,
this is that Boone's Farm stuff, man.
You know.
But we're talking about pleasures of the flesh.
Right.
Right. So the idea,
honestly,
the best thing about life,
pleasures of the flesh are good.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Would you want to go to a place where you can never have the pleasures of the
flesh?
But
that's not what's promised.
That's not at all right.
Right. But the best pleasure in life,
you can still have pleasures of the flesh.
The best pleasure in life is bringing joy to somebody else.
Right.
About serving somebody in a way that gratifies you more than anything else. So when you do something good for somebody else, you feel gratification and joy on a spiritual level. When you understand that you were designed for a purpose and you are going to fulfill that purpose on the other side.
Break on to the other side.
Break on to. Yeah, I love the Doors. That is what you're looking for. You're looking forward to the next thing. And that next thing is serving the God that created you. And that should bring you joy like nothing else, if you understood it.
I wish I had an answer for you, Jerry, but there is no, this is what sex is going to be like in heaven. That's just not in the Bible for us. So you can just only imagine, if it's what it is here on earth, and God gave that to you. Right. He wanted you to be happy.
Exactly.
How much more happy are you going to be in heaven?
I don't know.
Being of service to other people in this world is akin to what life will be like in heaven.
I'm going to cut you off here again. So basically, once you get to heaven, your main purpose is just to serve God, right? You're God's servant, right?
Not. You look at that word.
Drinks or
you look at that word.
Feet or anything.
You look at that word on a mortal level. Yeah. You don't understand what servants would
okay,
what servitude
You're
is
spreading
in
his
heaven.
message, or trying to, pretty
But
much.
how can you spread his message when you're already in heaven and everybody in heaven already knows
That-
the
but
message?
that
That's why
isn't
they're
what-
there.
But that we don't know what the
Yeah,
next
we don't
level
know
of
that.
existence is.
Yeah, there are more levels
But
beyond just this. Once you get into like Armageddon days, like there's war. Like we're going to have an actual war. Like people
Right.
on horseback, like killing and.
I like to think of my Armageddon as like dirt bikes through the sand, kind of Mad Max-ish.
I mean,
is
it
that
could-
okay, is that okay to think about?
If that's what God made for you, and that that could be yours, but it
Okay.
just depends on what He's assigned to you.
You guys remember that California Love video? That's how I think my apocalypse is like.
California love.
Yeah, California Love.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that music video with Dre and Pac standing there. That's how I like to picture my
Killer.
Armageddon. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
I don't remember that video.
Armageddon for
That was
me
good. In
is that
California.
this is really
Those
gross.
had a
It's
party.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's-
your Armageddon?
Yeah.
See, I can get into this.
So there's this. I don't even remember where it was. It was like an old radio. I don't even know where it came from. I don't. I feel weird.
How many of those have you had?
Just
3?
2, but I'm like halfway through this one. Well, I'll play it for you sometime. There's a sex act where the key word is Armageddon, and the guy starts screaming Armageddon, and it's the funniest thing in the world. It has to do with a mouse and somebody's anus, but
Okay. What? You caught me off guard there.
I know.
We
I'll
talking-
play it for you
we
some other
talking
time.
Richard Gere
That's
here?
what I was gonna
Yes,
say,
it is
Gere.
Richard Gere.
Yeah.
So
Armageddon. It's really funny.
at this church that you want me to attend, after sitting here with me, are you still convinced that I would be the right person to bring to your church?
Well, hold on a second.
Choked up.
She's sitting there thinking like, no, I don't know, man.
I don't think you'd go there and embarrass her. I mean, you go there
I don't-
and sit through
Well,
it.
well,
and-
no. I mean,
yeah.
I would sit there and do my best to enjoy it and try to learn something. But I'm not saying I would walk
It's
out and be like, you know
ultimately-
what, I gotta go back.
Yeah.
You know,
That's okay, Jerry.
are you all right?
Ah, I'm choked up. I don't know what did it.
I think it was the mouse and the ass thing 'cause that got me too.
I'm
for
gonna
a
look
second.
it up.
Lemony Winks.
You need some water or something?
Is it?
I got
No,
my bottle
that's
of
South
water.
Park.
That's South Park's, yeah.
Let me wings. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
no,
was a good
I-
one.
No, it's not up to me or.
Well, no. I mean, I'm not saying it is.
It's your salvation.
it-
so if
it-
God
it-
wants you, He's already chosen you. So.
It's up to me at this point because I told you. I said if you come on and we talk about this, then I will come. I will accept your invite and I will go to your church. And I do
I'm
plan on
still
doing
surprised. So.
that. Still, what are
I'm
you
still
surprised about?
surprised I'm here tonight.
Well,
so.
I'm honestly
See, there's
surprised
proof
too.
that I knew what I was talking about. There's a gerbil clip about Armageddon.
My God.
I mean, if
Um,
anything, I would hope for you to hear truth, and I would hope that you would have some sort of awakening in an ideal situation.
Right.
You would come to and say like, "Hey, this isn't really all that bad. Like, why are people so afraid to be here? Or why do people make it out to sound
Now-
so horrible?"
Now hold on. Is that
Closer to the microphone.
Sorry.
Okay, you're fine.
is that what how you think I feel about church? Like I think
I don't
it's-
know how you feel.
I think it's awful and
No, I would think most people would though.
I mean, I know people that go to church every Sunday and will come home and be like, you know what, it was awful. I sit there for an hour listening to the same thing over and over
Absolutely.
again.
Yeah.
But I go mindlessly every week because that's what I'm supposed to do.
But it's not just like what you're supposed to do, but there's a lot of factors that play into it. Sometimes, you do go and you're like, I got nothing out of it this week, but I came and I was with friends that are going through whatever in life, and we're
Right.
all here together, and we're like our own little support group.
Right.
Just, sometimes things happen, and you just can call people and be like, hey, Dad's having surgery. Can you pray for him tonight?
Right.
And you've got that one person or that group of people that you can rely on, and it's the accountability that we hold on each other.
Being of service to our
Right, and we don't all get along. I mean, there's plenty of us, especially, it doesn't matter if you're in a big church or a small church, the same issues stand. Everyone's going to have a disagreement here and there. And if no one's disagreeing, then you can almost bet that the devil has his hand in it. That's just life.
Yeah.
We're made to think in multiple different ways. We were all made differently, and some of us work well together and some of us not so well together, but that's part of life, to learn how to work together. And it's just nice knowing that you do have that group to
Now,
come back
just
to.
a second ago, you said that if everybody's getting along, then the devil has to have his hand in it.
Oh yeah.
But then you just said that when
He's gonna
everybody's
pick
getting
apart
along,
and analyze everything.
that's just I'm programmed to work that way.
Well, that's okay. I mean, there's just, when everybody agrees on the same thing all the time, you're
Right.
probably not doing God's plan.
As long as you're flesh,
Right.
the devil has his influence, because you're, as much as you acknowledge the fact that you are a spiritual creation, you also acknowledge the fact that you're flesh.
Right.
And there's a part of you that clings to your flesh, that clings to your
So
mortal.
you're saying just being made of mortal flesh,
The Apostle
the
Paul
devil's got
said
his
that
hands on me.
there's a thorn in
Oh,
my
at all
side,
times, he wants you.
and that thorn in his side causes him pain every single day. And to service that pain is to give yourself over to the devil. They're just like Catholic priests, and a lot of them are like pedophiles, like you said.
Right.
But that's because a lot of them were afraid that they're going to be persecuted for being gay men.
So you're saying
to avoid
you're
persecution,
saying gay men intentionally try to become priests?
I at one time, yes, I think they did, because at that time you were either,
You either
abstinent.
get married
Yeah.
or you become a priest. That's kind of the way it was.
You
in
either
the
get
Catholic
married or
family.
become
Right.
abstinent. If you become abstinent, you better be a priest.
Right. So
And-
why wouldn't a priest just try to pick up hookers on the side instead of fucking?
Because if you got
9,
caught,
10-year-old boys.
then you would be killed.
Yeah, but that's like a double thing there. I mean,
You're
Yeah,
thinking
if-
with a modern mind. This is in a world where if you showed any sign that you weren't who you said you were, then it's either demon possession.
yeah, but it's either
I wouldn't even venture to say that they're gay. I wouldn't venture to say, I would never venture to say gay people are just attracted to children if they're not getting that fulfillment.
Right.
Either. But I would.
You're
but
absolutely
I see
right.
where you're going with this. I wouldn't venture.
I'm having
to
a
say
failure to communicate.
You're fine.
Well, I mean, okay. Let's say I'm a priest. Okay, I'm a straight priest. I signed up for it. I know what it entails. Okay. One day I'm just like, man, I gotta get me something, man. Let's go back to what I used to get before I was a priest.
There are always nuns. So
Yeah.
there are a lot. There are.
I don't like.
Which
why not
that
marry
was
a
also-
nun and be with a nun? Like that would make.
Because then they don't. There's a letdown of the mom. There's a letdown of the family. There's just this huge family burden that is oriented with that specific religion.
But if a priest and a nun got together,
But if he was a gay priest, he
That'd be
wouldn't
holy
want to be
fucking-
with a nun.
right?
Yeah.
But if he was a gay priest, he wouldn't want to be with a nun.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, though.
And he wouldn't want to be with a
man.
I'm sure there were some priests that were with married men who just decided to fake it. But the only other option at that point would be boys that they thought were
opportunity.
gay. That they saw as, like, I don't know. I mean, I'm speaking of a world that I completely don't understand.
And it's the devil, if you will, if you want to say the devil or Satan. He just has this wonderful ability to make things desirable in your mind. He knows your buttons. We all have a different button, and he knows exactly what that is. And he can take something very apparent and obvious for one person and darken it and make it very alluding and gentle and, not so bad. They're going to forget kind of moment. That's just the way he works.
We've actually had some comments here from
Oh, wow.
from our good buddy Will Daggum here.
Okay.
He just posted this question. They used to be able to get married. Hold on. They used to be able to get married way back in the beginning, right? And the whole thing of suppressing human hormones to say just don't do sex stuff is going against our human body's design.
You could become a priest, I think, if you were already married. But if you weren't married, which was opportune, because you wouldn't have that to look out for. Does that make sense? Like the leaders of the church, when the church wasn't the religion of the world,
Right.
would find more an opportunity with a priest that didn't have any flesh connections. Right? Does that
Right.
make sense? So if you were already married and had a family, then you could become a priest. But they would send out and promote priests that did not have families because they didn't have anything to move back towards. So there's a passage in the Bible, I think it's in Luke, where a guy wants to follow Jesus, but he's like, I need a couple weeks because my dad just died and I need to bury my father. And Jesus said, walk with me and let the dead bury the dead. Meaning that people that weren't following him were...
Already dead.
Yes.
That's just wrong, though, man.
No, not necessarily.
Like, dude, let me bury my dad, bro. Like, come on.
But he's...
Like, this dude gave birth to me. Let me.
He didn't give birth.
Let me send him off. You know. Well, yeah, he didn't give birth, but I mean, you know.
But he was already gone, and
Like,
he wasn't with Christ.
But he knew his father was horrible, and clearly wasn't
He wasn't a follower of Christ.
right.
Who was there?
So he.
I don't know. There's so many questions. We could go on. We've actually gone on for like almost an hour and 40 minutes here.
wow.
So, one last question for you. You're minister,
Sure.
preacher. I
Yeah.
mean, what do you call them?
Well, they're
Like-
usually like the pastor.
Pastor. Okay.
Right.
So you're pastor. Does he allow a question and answer portion during
You
his
can
sermon?
call beforehand and talk to him. You can tell him.
Or
say,
stay
"Hey,
after the service.
Yeah, after you
Well-
can
well-
say, "Hey, I just have some questions before I come in because I've never done this before. I'm just not real comfortable."
Well,
and-
I would much rather ask questions afterwards.
Right.
Absolutely, he's always there in the front.
But he
You
doesn't.
might have to stand in line. Sometimes there's 2 or 3 people there, but
Is there like a question and answer type period where like everybody's still sitting there and
no. There's
No.
sometimes.
So
I mean,
it's
on
more of a private question and answer.
right.
Session.
There
Okay.
are sometimes, especially on the holidays, sometimes there's 1,000 people.
Do they frown on people like raising their hand during the middle of service or anything
Yes,
like that? They do
because you're interrupting like 300 people, and so
Okay.
some
And the
people
pastor's delivering a message.
Right.
It'd just be rude.
So I gotta be quiet.
yeah.
Okay, I'm just trying to get some background
you're
here
totally fine.
before I show up.
They would, if you did that, they wouldn't be like, "Sir, you gotta go." They would. You
So-
say
so-
like
so-
you
so
bluntly
now-
came in and you didn't know and you did it. They'd be like, "Do you have a question?" They wouldn't frown on it, but
Okay,
it,
well
it's
that's
not.
comforting to know.
It's not protocol.
Before we get out of here, if you could say anything to me right now in a condensed form, because we're running out of time here, that you would want me to know, you would want to say to try to persuade me to accept Jesus, what would you say to me?
There's nothing I could say to you to make you believe in Jesus.
But if there was possibly one thing you could say, I mean, obviously you thought of me for a reason. You came here for a reason. What you gotta have something you want to say.
But I don't want you, Jerry. It's between you and God, so you have to figure that out. I mean, if he's the one that wants you and he's used me as a vessel to, deliver a message to you, then, or you or anybody else watching, then that's just the route he chose.
I would.
So
hate,
I can't save you if that's what you're asking. I can't.
No, I'm not saying.
I can't
want you to-
convince you. I can't save you. I can't give you that magical word or magical verse in the Bible. That's just between you and God.
Would you?
You got something to say. I know you got something
but
to say.
I'm also buzzed on beer. So, would you sell one of your eyes for $1 million?
I don't know. That's a good question.
If you wouldn't sell your eye for $1 million, why would you enjoy 70, 80, 90, 100 years of pleasure when
With both eyes?
when the rest of your life, when the rest of your existence is going to be in utter torment? And
You know, hold on. Let me answer your question there. Yes, I would sell one of my eyes for $1 million because there's technology now where they can go in and put a camera in your eye hole and connect it to your optic nerve, and you'll be able to see.
no, there isn't.
Yeah, there is. I swear to God.
Okay,
there is,
well,
yeah. Oh, did you hear that? I just swear to God. Did you hear that? Yeah.
no, but but you understood the point of what I was saying. Why would you give up an eternity when for just 100 years?
Let me ask you this: if I sold my eye for $1 million, when I got to heaven, would I get my eye back?
The understanding is, why give up an eternity for 100 years at most?
Okay, now it's you
Does-
had me thinking with the eye thing, and then I'm like, wait a minute, like yeah, okay, I got you.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Were you thinking about Chubbs and Billy Madison when he got his hand back when he went to heaven?
Chubbs?
Chubbs.
Oh, yeah, Chubbs.
That's in Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
His name is Chubbs.
His name is Chubbs.
Gets
But
his-
that you said
he
Billy
yeah,
Madison.
You did say Billy
Well,
Madison.
sorry, same
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
thing, pretty
Yeah,
much.
no, it isn't. Okay.
Okay. Same fucking movies.
It's like you got Billy Madison with the Catholic Church. You got Happy Gilmore over here with the
But he
Baptist.
didn't sell
it's
his
the
hand.
same, but it's
a damn
different.
alligator bit his hand off
Yeah.
and stole his
Hey,
gold
the alligator
jacket.
got his eye back when he went to heaven.
Yeah,
That's
even
true.
The gator did.
The
yeah,
gator
that's
did.
True.
Suck it.
So yes, I
Are
would.
we done?
I would sell my.
God damn it, are we done? Please say where you're done. This has gone on for like ever.
only an hour and 40 minutes. 40,
Ever.
41:56, 41:57. Yeah. We are going to get out of here. Sam, I want to thank you so much for coming out. I hope that you had a good time.
I did. Thanks
I
for
hope
having me.
I hope it wasn't super awkward or anything like
No,
that.
She's like,
it
I'm never
wasn't.
coming
I
back.
actually thought I would be roasted up here tonight, so thanks for
I was waiting for her to say
the
crucifixed.
questions and It did great. It was great.
Crucified.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Leave it to Dusty, man. No, I mean, I love talking about religion. I don't try to debate it, mainly because I don't know. I've never.
Because you pick it
I've never
the fuck
stu-
apart.
I do.
and it's
I
like,
do.
Jesus criminy.
It's not that I pick religion
Blows
apart.
entirely. like the Grinch over here.
It's not that I pick it apart.
Yes, you do.
I mean, I do, but I also I would pick apart anybody trying to sell me on something that I was unsure about. A used car salesman, I'd pick them apart too. I'm just.
I don't know. Joe came up here, and you really didn't pick him apart.
Well, I was also trying to make him look good, so he'd be voted for mayor of Independence,
Hey,
which
man.
didn't work. Unfortunately,
I bet picking him apart might have worked.
it might have.
See, you didn't do your job.
No, good point.
I'm just
Good point. But all right, Sam, I do want to thank you again for coming out. It was an absolute pleasure. We should do it again sometime, maybe after I attend the service. We'll talk more. Just because we're in the show doesn't mean that everybody has to leave. But yeah, I do want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank Will Daggum for his comments throughout the show. They were awesome. And I want to remind everybody, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that fun stuff. And if you want to catch me at church, I'll be at Kenton,
If you went to big church, you better go to the bridge.
the Bridge.
I'll go to whatever service you're comfortable.
Well, I'm going with you. You're going to be my guide on this. I'm going to sit right next to you. You're going to tell me what to do, when to say stuff, whatever. You're my shepherd, if you will. Okay.
Catch Jerry at
Good
church on
reference.
Sunday. How about that?
Yeah. How about
Yeah.
that? But yeah. Thanks everybody again for watching. We are going to get out of here. That being said, I'm your host, Jerry Saylor.
And I'm the very tired, left for sleeping Dusty B.
I'm Chubby Friendly.
Oh,
And
And Sam Cooper.
there you go. All right, we're out. Thank you, folks.
Jesus.
I'm sorry.
The Sunday school all over.
Sorry, Dustin. This is what I was afraid. I'm like, Jerry, are you sure?